G'day, Chris and Catherine. It's great to be able to catch up with you and hear how you're going. It seemed like a good idea to share our conversation with the FIEC community. So
Sure.
Thanks for being happy to do this. But it seems to me it was a bit over 12 months ago that you were first diagnosed with brain cancer, Chris. What's the journey like been for both of you? What's it been like then?
I don't know. I remember the weekend when everything started to go funny. It was Easter Monday.
Oh, right. Okay.
It had been a big weekend and a big run up to Easter. And on Easter Monday, I remember waking up in the back of an ambulance, recognising the voice because I know quite a lot of the ambos. I thought, what's Bernie doing here? And then I thought, what am I doing in an ambulance? So,
yeah.
It was actually 3 months to get the diagnosis from when Chris had the seizure on Easter Monday. It was a full school term. It was a full 3 months.
Yeah, I remember that.
Getting the diagnosis, yeah.
Yeah. And what's the actual name of the cancer?
Well, the old name, if you like, the traditional name was glioblastoma multiforme, but nowadays they tend to call it anaplastic astrocytoma.
Right.
Grade 3.
There you go. We've named it.
Yeah.
And how have your kids coped with all this? Like, yeah.
It's hard to answer that in some ways because we don't want to just talk about it so much that it's the only interesting thing. Like, my brain isn't that interesting. It's not the centre of our family life.
Yeah.
We do want to keep an eye on things. I reckon there's some effects which you can see on some of them, but but they've had a lot of good support and friends. But what do you think, Catherine?
I think they're doing pretty amazingly, actually. But I think it is kind of just an ordinary topic of conversation as well.
Yeah.
So part the fact that the kids have been homeschooled and they're kind of just around what happens in the family a lot.
Yeah.
It's not secret or anything, I suppose.
No.
Yeah.
I've got to say, in our conversations, I've always really appreciated your calmness, Chris. and I remember saying to you once, you're pretty calm. How's Catherine coping with it? And you said, oh, she's the calm one. And I thought, wow. So it's been I don't know, testimony to both your personality and your faith. I think that you've handled it seemingly pretty well. I was stoked to hear just recently that the treatment has been, we'll say successful, that the tumours stopped growing. But I guess that sounds like that means that this is one of those cancers that you're going to, have to live with. So do you have any idea what the future looks like?
No, I don't know what the future really looks like. One of the questions I've asked of specialists again and again is, what's the prognosis? What's likely to go on here? And they say, oh, that's a really good question. I don't have an answer for it. So that seems to be the standard specialist response to everything. Oh, that's a good question. I don't know. But it's not as though it's like a set tumour in a capsule that they could just remove.
Yeah.
It's, some of the brain cells have gone rogue and they're trying to control that from getting too out of hand. So I imagine now I'm in the stage where they're happy with the effects of the radiotherapy and the chemotherapy so far. So now I'm in the stage where every 3 months I'll have another MRI and another meeting to discuss the results, and we'll see what happens. So I think we just wait to see if anything goes funny. And they say that generally you'd know if things start going funny, not so much from the MRIs, even though that could be the case, but you'd see things clinically. If things go downhill clinically, that's probably an indication of something going on in there.
So you'd start to feel some sort of dizziness or have a blackout, like had some of those symptoms come up again.
Could be something like that. Who knows?
Yeah. I mean, life's always uncertain, but it I guess it means that you're living with a heightened level of uncertainty. How does that affect you, Catherine?
Last year was quite hard, particularly that 3 months when we didn't know what was happening.
Yeah.
Because
sure.
one seizure could have been just a one-off seizure. Like he
Yeah.
didn't know whether this is this something to be really concerned about, or is this just a one-off occurrence.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was really hard to that level of uncertainty.
Mm.
I don't know, this level of uncertainty just feels a bit more livable.
And so, Chris, life is kind of back to normal. Can you tell us how like you weren't able to drive, you reduced your time at church, there were things that did change. Is it pretty much back to normal now?
I'm still more easily tired, I think, or more easily distracted.
Yeah.
I think in terms of ministry, some people are really good at strategy and step by step and action following up. I've never really been good at that, and I'm even more fuzzy on that. I'm more probably. I think of myself as I think I've got the capacity just to enter into an unplanned conversation and have something to say no matter where we go.
Yeah.
So vagueness is perhaps my special gift anyway, but I've got a lot more vagueness at the moment.
What would you say, Catherine?
Yeah, that's probably true.
Yeah. So all this was kind of another layer on top of COVID, and so your church, you were trying to work out how to do church in COVID, which has been crazy for everyone. But how has the church coped with your cancer and with how's the church gone through all this?
Well, they've certainly been very supportive of us. That's goes without. Well, it needs to be said, and there's no doubt at all that we couldn't have done anything really without their help and support in all sorts of ways. So we know they're right with us, and we're with them.
Yeah.
We've always loved the church here at Albury Bible Church, and we, even more so have underlined why that's the case.
Yeah.
So that's been good. What are we doing for church? We're trying to think about how to reach the area. I think there's all sorts of possibilities for great things to happen at Albury Bible Church.
Yeah.
And like I said, I've never been particularly good at putting all those plans into action. So trying to think, how can we draw more people in, get some more skills increasing, so the range of different gifts to the body will be expressing themselves in evangelism and building people up and following in kids and youth, that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
So we're sort of going slowly, really. Little steps at a time. That's what we do, and I think there's good signs of what can be happening.
How was church today?
We found during COVID, actually, we had to stop meeting at the high school 2 years ago, and we went to Zoom pretty quickly. But with Zoom, and then we found another place to meet, our numbers have actually been pretty much the same or just a little bit before, and mid-30s. So our numbers haven't been too bad, I think, over the last 2 years, even though we've missed a lot of face-to-face, obviously. And we haven't done the numbers for today yet because we still haven't sat down at the computer and done that. But I think there were probably 35 or there's good numbers today anyway. So
good.
The numbers have been good. Getting contacts and doing good follow-up is the harder thing to do. And for me personally, having a bit of energy to do that is what I lack a bit.
As Christians, we've got a funny view of suffering, like James 1, Romans 5 tell us that suffering and trials have the effect of strengthening our faith. So I just wonder, how has this experience of the last 12 months, Chris's sickness, how's it grown you, strengthened you? How's it affected you?
I think it's just, it's another reminder that we're not in control. Like there's a lot, COVID has been a reminder that we're not in control of all of our plans. And this is part of that too. Cancer seems like a big, scary thing for people as well. And just, I don't know, making that a fairly normal part of conversation. And it's actually made me think about praying more for the people who have, who struggle with more unseen things, because everybody's coping with family issues or illness in other ways and other struggles. Ours is fairly obvious and maybe dramatic. Yeah. And so, lots of people are supporting us, and which is wonderful, and we're very grateful for it. But I'm reminded to pray for people who are in situations where they might not get that support because people don't know.
Yeah.
And because we have all the blessings of Christ, we know that cancer or whatever illness is not, it's not the be all and end all. Like,
You know, I've said a few times, if you're a Christian, you trust in the most central thing in the universe is the death of Jesus, the death of the Son of God. And if you trust that and you're not ready to think about death, then there's something a bit wrong in the faith, you know. So we're always preparing to die. I remember the meeting where we got the diagnosis finally, and the brain surgeon was in the room, and didn't have a lot of social skills, I thought, along the way. But I was thinking that you, the surgeon, and I, we're just preparing to die, aren't we? You know, we've got to be ready to face death, and I'm ready for that. God hasn't changed. And so I'm just more and more thankful for the one who defeated death and came back to life.
and it's been really encouraging. Like, people at church and other Christians are quite happy to talk about brain cancer and, you know, the possibility of death. Like, that's, you know, that's quite, we're quite comfortable to talk about that as Christians, but non-Christians, that's very hard.
Very hard, very threatening. Here's your opportunity to tell us what you'd like us to pray for you.
Well, be thankful. We're very much aware of the support from FIEC, from our church, from other Christians around about. We've been very thankful for those things, and so please do give thanks and praise to God. It's his work that he's changed people to be like that. I think pray that we can stay faithful and take the opportunities that come up, and see them and take them, and include in that being faithful and seeing opportunities to care for our kids as they're scattered around about the place. We still want to do the best thing for them and bring them up as fellow believers.
Catherine, any particular things you'd like us to pray for?
I haven't got a lot more to add, but just pray for our kids, I think. It is a big thing for them. Well, we've got 4 still at home, but we've got, but 3 of our kids are adults, so there's only 2 high schoolers.
Okay.
Is that right? Yeah, good.
There you go. There you go. There's that vagueness coming through. You've just told him something he'd forgotten. That's very good.
How many kids do we have?
All right. Well, it's great to talk to you, and I'm sure the FIC crew out there will find it very encouraging to dial in and hear from you. Yeah.
Thanks, Bruce.